we got to prep for Odyssey of the Dragonlords. Haven't prepped any for Odyssey since last week. They are currently doing travel stuff, and one of the things that they're going to do as they travel to the destination is they're going to ride down a river. So the ship they're going to find is called the Ultros. They're going to be riding down a river. I mean, if you played Final Fantasy VI or Final Fantasy III USA, you know that I had to do this. I could not stop myself. So I have this lovely modified heroic map of this river, and they're going to be sailing down this river. There's some waterfalls at the end, which is pretty exciting. And yeah, they're going to get attacked by a river octopus. Last time I tried to run this river octopus, I did a Gargantopus or something, and overall I wasn't too thrilled with the stat block and how it turned out. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Giffyglyphs to make this monster this time around. But I will go grab the Gargantopus so that I have a base stat block to go off of. So they're big, intelligent octopi. So they've got mad crazy intelligence. They're strong. It's only a CR5. This is a party of 6 level 5 characters, so more than likely they're just gonna wreck it. So we kind of have this as a basis, but not much to go on. So I'm gonna move that over to a side window so I can still reference it, and we're gonna get this out of the way. And we're gonna jump into the Giffyglyphs monster maker. So at Giffyglyph.com, they got Monster Maker. There's a book full of rules for it, but there's also an app. So we're going to use the app to do this. And technically, if I'm not screwing up my cookies, which I keep seeming to do, it should be storing stuff in your vault. Otherwise, you could save stuff locally as local files and upload them as needed. Kind of wish there was like a, I don't know, like a paid service even, where it would keep an account for you and you could just kind of maintain your stuff. That'd be pretty awesome. Either way, let's go ahead and do this. So this monster is going to be a river octopus. Alright, and we need this thing to be level 5, because that's what level the party's going to be. And this thing is going to be... a lurker might not be a bad idea. Let's see. Wow. Hits pretty hard. Knocks people down. That'd be kind of cool. To get them off of the raft. Definitely need some grapply action here. It is going to be a huge creature. Nope, sorry. Gargantuan. So that's a thing. As far as what kind of creature, it will just be a monstrosity. There we go. And I'm debating here if it should be a lurker or a controller. It's kind of hard to be a controller solo monster, though. I guess we'll have to see. We could always toggle this stuff later. Alright. As far as tags go, I don't think we need any tags for now. Let's see. For display, if we really care about it, we can stash some artwork by putting the image URL where the image is hosted. So there we go. River Octopus looks great. Let's see what else we got. Armor class, it's only given it a 14, but we could probably do better. Hit points, it's only got 60 hit points. That is because I haven't set it up as a solo monster yet. Oh, here we go. Rank solo. Now it has 240 health. That's more in line with what my party could do in 2 rounds of combat, which is kind of crazy. All right. Let's see. How many players? We forgot to tell it that. So there's 6. And there's only going to be the one phase, so it divides up into a couple of different transition phases, which allows it to wipe status effects and make new saving throws and all that good stuff. All right. Let's see. Okay. Then we're going to go down to speed. This thing definitely needs to have a swim speed. It is listed as having a climb speed, the Gargantopus is. So we're going to give it a normal speed of 40, a climb speed of 20, which doesn't really make sense because your climb speed is... Oh, it has spider climb. Never mind. And then it's going to have a swim speed of 40 as well. So not particularly fast, but you know, we'll make it work. Let's see. Ability scores. Let's see. This thing's actually going to have pretty high intelligence and charisma with a low wisdom, which is kind of dumb for mechanically, but the source material for this character, he definitely doesn't have a very high wisdom score. Alright, saving throws. We could either use ability scores or we could make them custom. Let's see. So we could do Constitution is his best one, and then Dexterity and Strength, and then finally Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. That works. Let's see. Skills. This creature is actually listed as having quite a few skills. So one of them is its Perception. And it has expertise in that. There we go. That brings the number back in line. Let's see. Stealth. There we go. Alright, sweet. And then I think it has Investigation and History, which I don't think are needed. So this one we're going to give it Performance, because it's good at hurting people's feelings. And it also is a huge fan of the opera. Alright, that works for me. Let's see. Any kind of resistances or vulnerabilities. Technically, in the game, this creature is vulnerable to bolt magic, so lightning. So I guess we could give him vulnerabilities to lightning. Let's see what else we got here. If we're trying to go off of Ultros from the OG video game and not the recent guest appearance on what is it? Final Fantasy Online. Let's see. Trying to remember. I know he has resistance to fire, so we'll give him that. There we go. And I'm also going to give him immunity to acid, because he's going to spit acid a lot. That'll be what his breath weapon is. Or not his breath weapon, but his ranged attack. Alright, let's see. Senses, he's just going to have dark vision, 60 feet. And let's see. Passive perception is already calculated. Alright, sweet. Let's see. For languages, he'll know Common, and he'll know Aquan, and he'll know, I guess, we'll go with Celestial. There we go. No, maybe Sylvan. That seems to be the language a lot of the bad guys speak. Alright. Now we can start putting on some traits, some actions, and building it out a little bit. Technically, they are in his river, so this is going to be a creature with layer actions. So we'll have that as a thing. Let's see. Alright. Now, the idea with Giffyglyphs is that you want to think about what kind of fight you are trying to have as part of the design, right? Like, you're not just making a cool monster. Like, you're trying to create a situation. Okay, so in the source material for this video game character, they are grabbing on people. They're touchy feely. They're, you know, subway molesting. Like, they're reaching up with their tentacles and grabbing at people. And ultimately, I'm pretty sure they want to eat people. So the goal here is to pull people down into the river and chomp on them. That's what this guy's trying to do. So, definitely going to need some moves that allow him to engage and disengage. Definitely going to need some abilities that allow him to grab people and pull them under. What are they going up against? They're going up against Barbarian, who has a grapple ability, so that's going to be a thing. Let me actually double check. I think one of his abilities is that he can grapple something regardless of size. So even with this being as big as it is, I think he'd still be able to grapple this thing. That's his entire Barbarian thing's claim to fame, is being able to grab stuff. Let's see. Precocious Wrestler. Let's see. Nope, you can do things that are up to 2 sizes larger than you. So by being gargantuan, he will not be able to grapple this thing and pull it out of the water. Now, if Hypatia cast Enlarge on him, he'll be able to do that, and that would be super epic. So maybe they'll combo into that. But as it stands, it's too big for him to just grab it and pull it out of the water. So that prevents that little thing from happening. There are characters that can fly, so it's going to need a ranged attack. The ranged attack is going to essentially cause blindness. All of its anytime it uses ranged attack, it's going to blindness. We're gonna say that anytime it takes fire damage, in the game, anytime this character took fire damage, he would say it's like smells like octopus soup or something like that. He's kind of like a goofy cartoon bad guy, and then he would immediately shoot the person in the eyes with like a blindness effect who cast fire on him. So that's what we're going to do with that. And because this is a Giffyglyphs monster, every paragon action that it has a reaction for each paragon action that it has. So every time this guy gets hit with fire damage, he can squirt that stuff at people. So we're going to definitely play to that. What else? Because it has a spider climb speed, which we'll have to add, it could do stuff like grip the wall. It can also go under the water because it's a swim speed. All the while, the boat is going on ahead with the flow of the rapids, and the party is going to be constantly trying to get their people away from this octopus so that they can all stay together. Now, the idea is that he's going to get a hold of somebody, and he's not going to let that person go. So a cool thing to be would be to stash them in his tentacles. Not the same as swallowing them, but basically hiding them up inside his folds, as it were, because line of sight is such an important thing for spellcasting. It will force a physical confrontation that they will have to go and get their friend back from the octopus, essentially. So it's all about dragging people away from the group, forcing a rescue from the group until they either stop and give this guy the ferocious beatdown that he deserves, or they get everybody together and they get the hell away from the octopus. So we won't make the octopus unkillable, and we may have to make the octopus have... well, it's got the ability to shrug off stats effects at 66% health and 33% health, so it should be okay for that. So overall, it's pretty cool. So with that plan of snatching and hiding, we can start designing this thing in earnest. So if it is snatching and if it is hiding, I guess that really does make it more like a lurker. Okay, but a lurker has significantly less HP, which is kind of sad. and I think it does significantly more damage. And I don't really care about the damage. This fight is just supposed to test their ability to work together. Let's see what a scout would put it at. Scout does significantly less damage. There we go. But has a lot more hit points. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's see what else we got. And once per turn can add 5 extra damage to attack, which is okay. Let's see. If they were a striker, oh my god, they'd have an insane amount of hit points and do a lot of extra damage. Where does it come up with the math behind these? Let's see. So he's definitely not a supporter. Sniper. Wow, the sniper gets a crazy armor class. So striker's got a low armor class, but high speed. A very good attack. Okay. I wonder why Lurker is so bad compared to the others. I don't know. Yeah, I'm debating here what to do. Controller puts us at 3. Wow, 360. With only a +7 to the attack rolls, decent damage. It's still got shifty, so it can disengage as a bonus action. We'll leave it there. If we need to tweak it, we'll tweak it. But all right. So, hey, what's up? Okay. So River Octopus, we're gonna keep it at controller because it's technically trying to control the battlefield here. And it is a solo monster. It's going to be easy to hit with a 16 armor class, but it's going to have some tanky hit points there, so it could go through its 3 different phases of HP. Ultimately, if they stun it, it's not going to be able to catch up with the party, especially only with its 40 speed. So fortunately, it's got 5 Paragon actions, which it can use to move if it needs to, so it could zoom after the party to catch up. Alright, plus we have the layer actions as well that we need to think about. And if we wanted to, we could give this thing legendary actions on top of its Paragon actions, because legendary actions and Paragon actions are 2 different things. So we know for sure it's going to have a reaction. We're going to call this one Octopus Soup, question mark. If the River Octopus takes any fire damage, it may immediately use ink blot on a creature within range. I like the idea of counterattacks that don't just counterattack the person that hit it, because it makes them rethink their positioning and stuff as well. Alright, so under actions, we got to go in and add that in. So here we go. Alright, and ink blot is going to, there we go. It is a ranged weapon attack. Versus armor class, it is going to cause damage. And then it is also going to blind the target. Alright. And then to get rid of being blind, they're going to need to spend an action. So the creature, or here we go. The target or any other creature may spend an action removing the acidic ink to cure this affliction. There we go. All right. And then let's see, slash. So this needs to be more of slap. So it wouldn't do slashing damage so much as bludgeoning damage. So we'll change that out. All right. And let's see. Knockback will be its own thing by itself. So that's fine. Let's see. What else? Oh, the slap should probably grapple. So let's copy that over. Let's see. There we go. If the target is, because this is a gargantuan, we'll raise this to large. If the target is a large or smaller creature, it is grappled. The escape DC, primary DC is 15, comes in at 15. Until the grapple ends, the target is restrained. The river octopus, here we go, can automatically hit the target with his tentacle and can't use the same tentacle for another target. The river octopus can grapple up to 4 creatures at one time, which is kind of awesome. Alright, so even though it's slower to attack, right? It's not like it gets a multi-attack where it attacks with like 4 tentacles and a bite. It does get to, do some pretty cool stuff there. Alright. So that's happening there. And then we've got just a standard knockback to sort of get people into the water, as it were. What else would this creature have? Let's see. The Gargantopus has Fling, which could be pretty fun. So, and we'll do that. Alright, and what Fling is going to do is 1 medium or smaller creature grappled by the river octopus is thrown up to 20 feet in a random direction and is knocked prone. If they strike a solid surface, they take damage. If the target is thrown at another creature, they must succeed at a secondary dexterity saving throw. So let's get all of that written up real quick. Alright. So we'll say 1 large creature, because we upped its size. And then we'll put river octopus again. Alright. And, alright, is thrown up to 20 feet. That just doesn't feel like enough. This is a big creature. We'll go 60 feet. Yeah. Alright, in a random direction and is knocked prone. If the target strikes a solid surface, it takes, we'll say, 1d6 bludgeoning damage for every 10 feet traveled. If the target is thrown at another creature, that creature must succeed at a dexterity saving throw. And you can see the math is pretty solid here, right? DC 12, DC 12. Or take the same damage and be knocked down. So that's pretty cool. And let's see. We could give this thing... what else has it got here? That's pretty cool. Alright, we can give it a... when we give all of its recharges, we can turn into legendary actions, and we'll just give it 1 legendary action point. So, under legendary actions, we're going to say that it has 1. Here we go. Alright. So, let's see, 20-foot radius, cloud of darkness extends out of it. That works, I guess. The area is heavily obscured until the start of the river octopus's next turn. If underwater, it can use a dash action as a bonus action. So that's cool too. We'll just say it doesn't have to use a bonus action. We'll just say it can use a dash action, since this is a legendary action. There we go. Alright, that's cool. And alternatively, if it doesn't want to use this ability, let's see. We can give it an alternate flavored one, which is Tentacle Slam. It slams the creatures grappled by it into a solid surface or each other. They've got to make a saving throw or take some damage and be stunned, which is kind of crazy. Alright, so, whoa. Let me grab that real quick. I guess it doesn't need layer actions on top of all this other stuff. Jeez. Alright. So... Alright. So the River Octopus slams creatures grappled by it into a solid surface or each other. Each grappled creature must make a DC 15 Constitution saving throw. On a failure, they take 3d6 bludgeoning damage and is stunned until the end of their next turn. There we go. Because it's the legendary action, we don't know when it's going to happen. On a success, a target takes half the damage and isn't stunned. Alright. So it has to alternate between being aggressive or being essentially defensive, because it can only do one per round. Alright. So we've got Paragon actions, we've got legendary actions, we got a cool reaction, it's got a ranged attack. One of the things I like about Giffyglyphs is there's no actual, well, like, you can do this super simple. Like, you don't have to commit to these attacks. Like, if you needed to, you could just go up to this attack block here and make up any attack you want, and it'll have a +7 to hit, and it'll have to average about 12 damage. And then you can make up any secondary effects that an attack might have, or any primary effects that the attack might have. Technically, the secondary DC should mean that if it happens in addition to an attack, it should have a secondary save. So, as much as I'd like this strong Octopus to be able to hold on to people, maybe he's kind of wimpy. So I should go back to the attack action with the slap. And I need to change that DC to go back down to like a 12. Yeah. So it's going to be relatively easy to escape, but keep in mind escaping from the octopus still takes your action, and now you're in the river, and you got to get back to the boat, and all that jazz. So, one thing that this is not taking into account is reach. This creature, at its large size, has a 15-foot reach with its tentacles. So we need to sort of establish what this thing's reach is normally. So I'm not sure where in Giffyglyphs you add reach, but I guess I could just mention it somewhere. So I could put it right here, like 25-foot reach, 30-foot reach. There we go. Okay, and then let's see. I think we could probably get rid of knockback. Maybe, but I do like the idea of just knocking people off the boat. But if it already grabs you, it could immediately just fling you to get you off the boat. So it doesn't seem necessary to have an extra attack that we're not really going to need. And again, if we ever in the middle of the fight decide that it should be able to knock people down, we can just say, okay, it's gonna knock you down. And then it will roll to hit, and then they have to make a save against being knocked down. That's how adaptive the system is, which is pretty cool. Alright, so we've given it everything except its bite. Alright, so the bite would pretty much just be a standard attack here. So nothing fancy from the bite. Why would it do a bite if it had slaps remaining and flings? I don't know. Maybe there's some benefit, like it gains temp HP, or removes one status effect that's suffering from. I mean, that'd be kind of hype. Yeah. I feel like having a bite stat for an attack it's probably not going to use doesn't make any sense. And again, if it decided to bite things, you could just say it tries to bite you. It has a +7 to hit. The bite does 12 damage. It's piercing because it's a bite. That's the cool thing about this way of designing monsters is you're not locked in to what you see on the sheet. Because of this section right here, you can change this out as you could just make whatever shit up you need to make the fight more interesting. So that's pretty cool. All right. So let's see. We've got this ink blot. It automatically hits people. They don't get a saving throw. They're going to take a little bit. Well, they're going to take a lot of damage and then be blinded. And then the blindness has to be removed some other way. I might, when I take this over to Roll20, dumb the damage down a little bit, because 40, 12 plus 2 is kind of a lot of damage in addition to being blinded. But we'll see. I guess I could manually change it myself, but that kind of goes against the nature of it. Or I could... Nah, that's cool. Let's see. Acid, damage... yeah, so we can manually drop the damage if we want to, just by punching in a number here. So we'll say that it only does 2d4 acid damage, since it's causing a secondary effect. There we go. A no-save secondary effect. Alright, so that's cool. Let's see. If you have a party where everybody has a bunch of armor classes, and they are... all using shield on top of those armor classes, you could go in here and design monsters that rely entirely on saving throw based effects if you wanted to go in that direction with it, which is another cool thing about it. Alright, so 1 legendary action per turn, 5 paragon actions, has a cool reaction, it's got a fling attack, it's got a slap attack, and it's got an ink blot attack. It can once per turn add 5 extra damage to an attack, and it can disengage as a bonus action. As a gargantuan creature, we don't have to worry about Philippocles grappling it unless Hypatia enlarges Philippocles first, so that should be pretty interesting. And even though it only has a 40-foot speed, it does have to worry about, or it doesn't have to worry about keeping pace because it can burn Paragon actions for movement, and burn a legendary action for movement. So it has a lot of ways to keep up with the party as they sail down this river. Alright, I guess the last feature that we could add is give it these other octopus abilities under its traits. So let's go to traits. And here we go. It has shifting camouflage. There we go. Which gives it advantage on stealth checks, so it can sneak up on them. Because it already has a 19 passive stealth, and then if you add advantage, that puts it up to 24 passive stealth. So that's pretty cool. Alright, and then the other thing is the spider climb, because octopus. Alright. There we go. Alright. So, yeah. It took 30 minutes, but that's not too bad. And now we have a custom mid-boss encounter type thing to attack them as they're making their way down the river. Pretty happy with it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and save it. Cool. And then I'm actually going to save it locally, I think, just in case I clear my cookies or lose it in some way. So I'm going to export it. Oh, here we go. I'm going to save it right there. Alright. And then I think that's all we need. So, under description, I can also divide up the display, oh, here we go, into 2 columns. And then we could take a nice screenshot of it or whatever for posterity. Oh, man, it's a big stat block. Nice. Yeah, that is really cool. Now, of course, I do need to add this creature to Roll20, but I'm not going to copy and paste all them stats into Roll20 on stream. So, worst case scenario, I will run it out of my side window here. But for now, pretty happy with this guy. I think despite having 360 health and all of this action economy, the action economy and the extra health will help the creature deal with all of the different slowing effects and dazing effects that this party has access to. All right, so come back over to Roll20. This little guy now has some stats, so he can harass the party when they get to this really cool river that they're going to make their way down. The river is down in a canyon, so the players only see, the sides of the canyon because they can't see up above the canyon. Now, if they sent like Paratos or Anastasia or something up above to look around, they would get to see the rest of the map. The idea is they're going to take the river because the overland area is going to be very dangerous. So what I'm going to do is basically wyverns come to this area this time of year to mate. And so wyvern mating season, not the time that you want to be going, taking a long time to travel over difficult mountainous, foresty, jungly terrain. So that is why they're going to take the river instead. And then, of course, at the end of the river ride, they'll go over the waterfall as per the written adventure, and then they'll end up in the new area, which is this cove right here.